Not every vocalist is the same. There's things that want to be brought out. There's some people just the good old fashioned 58 is going to work on this 58. The 58's a cardioid pattern, so we still get it's not as tight. So I can be off to the side. Where if I was off to the side on this one, it starts dying out a lot faster. Hey, what's going on? Again, this is Stephen with MikeReynolds.com, and today I am talking about this beautiful Neumann KMS 105. Oh my word, I feel like I could, if only a mic could turn me into Tony Bennett, this would be the one. It sounds so great. So Neumann, if you're not familiar with Neumann, is one of the premier mic manufacturers out there. European. So there's a few that are in that category in my mind. There's like DPA, Neumann, Sheps. Those are kind of like what all of the symphony engineers love using, one of those three. But Neumann, of course, well known for the U87. But this 105, it's funny, I didn't even. I kind of got introduced to the 105 by owning Mike Reynolds. That was kind of a thing. It was just like I can't remember if we had capsules at church or whatever it was, but the sound of this thing is so amazing. So I'll quit drooling over this thing and talk about it a little bit more. So KMS 105 is a condenser mic. Actually, all of the Neumanns are condensers except one. If you see a mic with a green badge on it, that's actually a dynamic mic. So when they have this red badge on them, they're actually transformerless. So that has to do with the electronics. So condensers have electronics in them. That's why they sound so great. So the transformerless, so that means they have, what's the word for it? They're SMCs, or surface mounted components on a circuit board on the inside. That's useless information, I guess. But that's so you know the difference between the badges when you see them. The purple badges are FETs. So kind of a cool little fun fact there. But being a condenser, yes, you got it. Like right now, we got it hooked up to a mix pre that's hitting it with Phantom. So you need either an interface or a console or some sort that can supply a Phantom in order for it to work. This mic, believe it or not, doesn't have any foam on the inside. So as far as like plosives go, it handles them really well. A lot of it is just this really tight metal mesh, and it does have some fabric over the capsule itself, because it's the way they mounted the basket. I wish you could see. You might be able to see it, but the capsule's like way down here, so it again handles plosives so well. I'm going to be comparing it a lot to the 58, so I'll switch back and forth here. But the 105 itself, they also have a 104. So the 105 is a super cardioid microphone. So I don't think I mentioned that before, but super cardioid is a lot tighter pattern than your typical cardioid pattern. So you're gonna have a little bit of a rear lobe on the off axis side. Part of that is to make that every time a pickup pattern gets tighter, it's also going to create some pickup from the rear axis. So think of shotguns. When shotguns get so dang tight, well, you end up having a pretty big rear lobe on the off axis. So I'm just going to slide this over, and so you kind of can hear it a little bit of the pickup, but it's kind of a little bit more of the low end. That pickup pattern helps with gain before feedback, but it also can help with being around a PA, especially being around monitors. I know they're not as much of a thing, but the next hurdle is drum bleed, and depending on where the vocals are on stage, the drums can have a big factor. Probably. Yeah, maybe on the live side, but definitely on the recording side when you're able to listen to that solo and isolate it and all that. So this is actually the big brother. So to the KK104. I always thought the the KMS 104 came out first, but no, they actually started with the super cardioid mic first, and I think and the gap is about 11 years between the two different mics. Now later, when they came out with the capsule versions, that's the KK105, KK104. Those came out at the exact same time. Oh my word, I think that was 2010. So a lot of numbers to remember here, but Sennheiser's 5K series of wireless was a very unique analog wireless system that had a specific plug-on actually like no other system I've ever seen. I remember when I first getting the 105 and 104 capsules, it looked like it was like a plug, and then you rotate. I should have had someone with me, but we might look at those at another review later. So very odd, very different. Somebody, just kind of random fact out there, I mentioned Tony Bennett earlier, but this was like his preferred mic was the 105, especially a wired 105. And if he was wireless, he was on a Sennheiser 5K handheld with the KK105 capsule on it, and just sounded like a butter. So the frequency response of this is like most condensers. This is a 20 to 20K. This is tailored specifically for vocals with clarity and articulation. So they're not meant for everybody. The wired mic was, most of these KMS mics, they're I think even there's an initial in there. One of it's condenser with a K, microphone is the M, and I think studio is the S. So again, if you're on Microphone Jeopardy, there you go, you just won. That's how you know what these were made for. So this is made for like studio vocals, but of course, with live events being so popular and things like that, you'll see them here on occasion. Not a lot of people use wired mics, but you definitely will see the capsule version. So now I said a 58, right? So I better actually pick that up. And just to let you hear the difference in this, here's our 58. And it's funny, after talking on that sucker so long, a lot of the top end kind of just disappeared. It's kind of like when you're if you're sniffing colognes, they have that, or sniffing smelling candles at what's that dang place called? Anyway, you have to smell some coffee in order to reset your palate or whatever. This can be pretty tough, but SM58 kind of does the trick, because when I go back to the 105, a lot of that presence is there. So when we do capsule shootouts and we add the 105 into that bucket of capsules mix, a lot of people, the first thing they say if they have in-ears in is like the clarity they get in their in-ears. So it does people a lot of good to have that clarity back, and so their vocals can cut through that mix even more. And so one of those things when you're shooting stuff out is try to pick like 6 different capsules, because not every vocalist is the same. There's things that you want to be brought out from a certain vocal. There's some people, just the good old-fashioned 58 is going to work. Now keep in mind, on this 58, the 58's a cardioid pattern, so we still get it's not as tight, so I can be off to the side, where if I was off to the side on this one, it starts dying out a lot faster. And so being a dynamic also doesn't do it so much justice. It doesn't have all those extra electronics in it to make it sound as good. However, with dynamics, they tend to last longer. They can be beat up a lot more. We've had to unfortunately repair some of these KMS 105s before. Them getting dropped or whatever. It happens, but they're just more sensitive to handling and all that stuff. Now, as far as max SPL goes, that's how much the sound pressure level this mic can handle before distorting. I'm going to switch back over, because the SM58 doesn't even have a rating, because it can handle probably a jet engine just all the way into the cockpit or something like that. As the KMS 105 can only go up to 150. Now, don't get me wrong, that's pretty flippin' loud. If you can find anything to generate 150 dB of sound pressure, I don't suggest putting your ear right up on it. It's probably not a good idea, but at that point, this mic does start distorting. So frequency response between these two are so dang different, because this microphone's relatively flat, and then it starts ramping up right around 7K, I think all the way through and past 10 maybe into almost 15 before it gets to almost 5 decibels. So you do have that little bit of a presence boost where, but not so significant because it just kind of gradually goes up. Whereas the I almost called that the SM7B, but the SM58, that also starts making some changes around 7K, and then dips. It has a dip in it, and then it goes spikes right back up to 5 dB, just past 10 as well, and then also fades out, but far earlier than this. So KMS 105, again, one of those mics to just kind of legendary mics. Again, I mentioned Tony Bennett, to just try, or well, for studios, but then or try the capsule version. There's a couple of different. They now have the KK105U, which came out, I believe, last year, and that's so the capsules can actually be used on Shure without getting any other funky adapter, because you add an adapter in it. That's another weak spot. So anyway, go to our website, MikeReynolds.com, look up KMS 105, KK105, or even try the 104 as well, and use the promo code RENT15, and shoot, until then, I'll see you on the next mic.